Hello everybody, it is me. I am back to do what I do best, and that is talk about zombies. Today I'm going to talk about Cold War zombies. All the things I like about it and all the things I think could be a little better. I've spent some time playing the game, I put some notes together, and I will start off by saying I think it's kind of difficult to talk about this game because there are so many interconnected systems, so it's hard to talk about one aspect of the game without talking about another aspect. So I hope this video makes sense. I hope it doesn't come off as me just rambling. I guess we'll see how it looks at the end. Generally, I would organize a video like this by talking about all the things I like and then all the things I don't like. But because everything is so interconnected, I've decided to just talk about it all in different categories. Those categories are going to be weapons, progression, points and salvage, the HUD, and miscellaneous things. So let's just jump right into weapons. Now right off the bat, I would say that weapons are incredibly balanced in this game, far more than the last few games, and that is entirely because of the weapon tier system. There are 6 tiers. There's the survivor tier, which is your starting weapon, and there's 1 through 5, and I don't know if wonder weapons are in their own tier or not. I think they're just tier 5, but at the very least there are 6 tiers. And I love the tiers because it makes choosing your starting weapon a lot more balanced. In Black Ops 4, you could choose the Mag 12 or the Strife pistol, and that would pretty much be your weapon for the game. You didn't have to put much into it, you were just starting out rather powerful. This time around, you can choose any weapon you want from the game, but that weapon's going to drop off pretty quickly. And therefore, you're going to want to switch out whatever weapon you start with for something that's a higher tier. There's also the option to upgrade your weapon tier-wise, but we'll get more into that later. I think attachments are finally balanced. Yeah, you can choose them for your starting weapon, which is fine because your starting weapon's not going to be all too powerful, but otherwise they're just randomly put on your weapon based on the tier. The higher the tier, the more attachment slots you will have. And sometimes it's a little annoying to, get stuck with a scope that you don't like, but at the very least you can randomize your attachments for just a little bit of salvage. I appreciate the wonder weapons in this game. The ray gun, it's really rare, but it's really powerful. Unlike Black Ops 3 and 4, where no one really wanted the ray gun for high rounds, now it's one of the go-to weapons. And so far, we only have the shockwave to talk about as another wonder weapon. I like that it's very powerful, but it comes with that risk of recharging it. It's not an easy process, it's not a fast process, and doing so could get you hurt, could get you down. Hopefully, future wonder weapons continue to be very powerful, but very high risk. I think that's a good system, but as of right now, they got it down pretty good. I think all the abilities are pretty well balanced. They're mostly focused on support rather than doing massive damage. Some of them will kill, some of them will give you more damage, but it's nothing nearly as powerful as what we would have seen in Black Ops 4. Grenades are also pretty powerful. They're very capable of killing, but it works this time around because you have to find them from the zombies you kill instead of spawning with them and constantly refilling them. I think it's kind of cool that you drop your weapons after you get a new one, and this is good for a couple reasons. The main one being you can share weapons that you trade out instead of having to just get rid of them, especially if you've invested a lot of your salvage and points into that weapon. It's also good for speeding up the box. You can take whatever weapon you get and just pick up your old weapon, and that way you don't have to just sit there and wait for the weapon to fall back into it. And the third use that I personally found, on a Plague Hound round, I was out of ammo, I picked up a new weapon, finished the round, and then picked up my old weapon before picking up the max ammo. So that was kind of cool to figure out and do. So yeah, dropping the weapons after you buy a new one, I think that's cool, I think it works. However, for things about the weapons I don't like so much, combat knife I feel is completely broken. You can spawn with it, and it's a one-shot kill for a very long time, and it's always awarding you the maximum, 115 points. And it's not even the combat knife weapon that you choose to spawn with. It's like when you upgrade your melee ability and you just use a knife or a Bowie knife instead of the gun butt, that's I think a little overpowered, a little broken, and it just makes meleeing way too viable. If you ask me, I think the best solution to this would be to drop the points down from 115 to 90 for a melee kill. Otherwise, zombies don't do very much damage in the early rounds, only 30 per hit if I'm remembering correctly. So just bump that up to 50 and make knifing a little more tense. I think that'll balance it better. And one final point about the weapons, I think you spawn with too much ammo when you're starting weapon. I usually spawn with the 1911, and that comes with a total of 208 rounds. And that seems a little excessive to me. I don't know if it would be better to just have different tiers of weapons, have different amounts of ammo, or maybe just limit the amount of ammo you spawn in with like in previous games, but either way I think you spawn with just too much ammo at the beginning. Anyway, moving on, let's talk about points and salvage, because that's also very connected to your weapons. The point system is very similar to Black Ops 4, but a lot more refined, I'd say, this time around. You get 90 points for a regular kill, 115 for a critical, and 50 for any other kinds of kills, so ammo abilities or the score streaks, anything like that. I feel like the system it's not too fast, but it's not too slow either. You know, points, they feel hard to come by, so the big purchases that you can make throughout the game, you really have to work towards them. But it is still just fast enough that, you know, you still feel like you're making progress. I don't know if I'd call this point system better than the original one, but it's at least better than Black Ops 4's version. Points are also only awarded upon getting the kill, not as you do damage to the zombie. The only reason I think it works better this way is that double points are more valuable of a drop now. You can't just spray into a horde and take whatever you get. You have to actually get those kills. So I feel like it makes the double point duration a little more tense when you're trying to round up as many points as you possibly can. I'm also very, very fond of the salvage system. The whole crafting system from Black Ops 3 and 4 and even 2 a little bit, where you find 3 items in 9 random spots on a map, it got a little much. I did count it out once in my Black Ops 4 review. I believe, if I remember correctly, there was like 150 different spots for items to have been. It was a lot to remember, so I'm glad they simplified it a bit by just letting you craft anything with this generic salvage. Once again, you get it at a good rate. It's not too fast, it's not too slow, and I appreciate that it kind of adds another branch of progression to the gameplay. And speaking of progression, let's move into that next. So I feel like the best thing about Cold War Zombies is that there's a lot of different routes you can take in order to max out all of your abilities. You can either try and go for all of the perks, you can go for max pack-a-punch, you can level up your weapon tiers, you can go for craftables or armor, and you know, you could choose to prioritize one, or you could choose to try and go for all of them a little bit at a time, and I think it just works out really well. I like that you have the option to choose whatever starting weapon you want with any attachments you want, and if you put in the points and the salvage, you can make it into a top tier weapon. I also do appreciate that the perks do increase in price as you buy them. That was one of my main points of concern with this game before it came out, was the no perk limit. But because they all increase in price, I think it costs like 22,500 points, if I'm remembering the number correctly. So yeah, it's not easy to get all 6 perks, and I don't know if you're going to be able to get 7, 8, 9, however many perks they add in later. I don't know if they're going to put those back on the other maps, but that's only going to make it even more expensive to get every perk. So yeah, that was a concern of mine before the game came out, but it worked out pretty well. And then on the topic of game progression, I talked about this a little bit earlier. Zombies only do like 30 damage per hit up until I think round 10, and that's just not enough. You know, with the base of 150 HP, it takes 5 hits to down you. There's absolutely no tension, especially when you have the combat knife and you're just knifing everything for max points. There's nothing to worry about. So I do kind of understand why they made it this way, so that the earlier rounds weren't too hard. But I don't know, I like the tension that comes with the 3 hit down at the beginning of the game. I mean, that's the point of the zombies moving slower in the early rounds. It's because they wouldn't be able to hit you as much, even though they do the same amount of damage. I don't know, I feel like the damage should be boosted up. And additionally, when it comes to reaching the mystery box, I still think it's a little too close to the spawn room. Again, this could change in future maps. Right now it's just, you know, Die Maschine. I've always felt like the box should be either at the end of the map, or it should just spawn randomly. But if it's only ever going to be 3 or 2 doors away from the spawn room, I feel like that ruins the progression a bit. The only other aspect of progression to talk about is the out-of-game progression. Beforehand, I felt like the out-of-game progression was just too strong with weapon kits and starting weapons and, you know, choosing your perks and stuff. In this game, I think it's better because all the upgrades seem to be kind of where these things are meant to be. So like maxing out the Juggernog ability, it doesn't feel overpowered. It feels like it's supposed to feel, and it's underpowered before you upgrade it. Going back to the knife, yeah, I don't like that you can replace the gun butt with a knife, because that's just overpowered, I think, because it just does too much damage for too long, especially, yeah, with the low damage that the zombies will do in the early rounds. But other than those, you know, couple things I don't like, I think the progression throughout the game is really good, especially when you get to the later rounds, because everything will cost so many points and so much salvage that it takes quite a while to max everything out, and therefore there's always something to work towards, even if you're going for a higher round. Now let's move into the HUD. Talking about the Black Ops 4 HUD was my most popular video, so let's talk about this one a little, I guess. I would say that this one is nearly perfect. It's very minimalistic. I'm glad I can turn off things like the hit markers and the health bars and the damage numbers. I'd have a problem with it if it was forced upon me, because as someone who's been playing zombies for at least 10 years now, I feel like that's unnecessary information. But, you know, you can turn it on or off, so it's optional, so I don't care. I do wish there was a little more HUD control. Like, I wish I could turn off my medals and the minimap and the objective markers. I don't feel like it's necessary. It's really only useful the first few times you play a map, but once you know the map and you know where everything is and you know how to do all the basic things, it's not really helpful. It's just taking up space on your screen. And finally, the miscellaneous things that don't really fit into any one category, but are still worth talking about. So first and foremost, Battle Pass progression. I'm glad they introduced it into zombies instead of just the tier skips we had in Black Ops 4. And it's a good amount too. I feel like I'm making good progress. I think it was about round 20-ish is about 2 tiers worth. So I think it's a good amount. I feel like I make a lot of progression in zombies. I love the music player. I'm glad I can listen to the Easter egg songs more than once in a match, and it's only going to get better as more maps are released and more songs are added. I hope that they let you use your music tracks in the music player. I'd love to be able to listen to 115 or you know, Rick Astley, but I guess it's not really the end of the world if that doesn't get added. Bots didn't return, which is a little sad, I guess. I wouldn't call bots the best part of Black Ops 4. It's not like they were the best players, but it was a nice addition to have. I hope they can patch those in later. I can't decide if I like or dislike how much the characters talk. They don't talk much at all. So on one hand, it kind of adds that like classic Noctur on Totem feel where the characters didn't talk much. But on the other hand, you don't really get interesting characters to listen to throughout the game either. So I don't know, it's kind of a give and a take. Maybe some characters could talk more than others. I don't know. I appreciate that the nuke and insta-kill power-ups affect the bosses. I'm glad that plague hounds are more of a threat this time around. The lunge might be a little far, but they don't die instantly like in Black Ops 3 and 4. Those hellhounds were almost not a threat at all. The whole flashlight thing, that's pretty neat. I hope we can continue to see that used in new and cool ways. Maybe a map that's like all or at least like half dark all the time, or like an underground map where it's always on, something like that I feel would be cool. Maybe it'd be a little difficult not being able to see so much, but I wouldn't mind it. And then new modes, I'm looking forward to see what they come up with. I'm not entirely sure what to expect. Hopefully they do some cool things. Jingle Hells was cool. It was a little bit of a change to the formula, but also a very big visual change to the map. So I think that was a good start to getting new modes. I hope we can see custom mutations come back, but I guess we'll see. But yeah, that's Cold War Zombies. Those are the things I like and the things I don't like so much. Overall, I'm very happy with the mode. I think it's a great improvement. When they released the reveal trailer and talked about returning to the roots of zombies, I was concerned that they wouldn't do that as well as they thought they were going to, but I think they did. I think they did a good job. And now to wrap up this video, I want to answer a question from another one of my videos. Someone asked me why I thought this game might feel easy but satisfying at the same time. And my response to that is that I don't think Cold War Zombies is inherently an easy game. I think it gets easier as you progress and you get better weapons and you craft all your stuff, but I wouldn't necessarily call it easy. And the reason I believe that it feels satisfying despite the easiness in the late rounds is because you have to work to make it easier. There's no more spawning with an overpowered starting weapon and an overpowered specialist weapon and gobblegums and offerings. You have to work in the match to get everything that you have. You have to build up your points, you have to collect the salvage. There is very little that the game gives you. And that is the main reason I like this game. I wouldn't call it a perfect game. I would say there's a couple tweaks they can make, but overall I think it's a very well thought out game, far more than a lot of the recent Zombies experiences, and I'm very happy about it.
Sander Cross Split Attack!